David Bellani, good day. Dan Sheg, good day. Am I here now? Have we got anything? Yes, very much enjoyed Tea and Biscuits' latest Indian series. It's well worth the trouble. Go and check it out. He's built a Still Stewart oscillating engine. Really nice job. We got it finished. I've got nothing here. I've got no hands-free at all for this tablet. So I'm in Marcus's workshop. Come in tonight to sort of show you what's happening here. Adam Carmichael, g'day. And a few other things. Where do we even start? Probably on this saw bench, right? As some of you may know, or you may have seen from live stream, Dan and I bought a T. Robertson English ripsaw bench, automatic feed ripsaw bench of uncertain age in a online auction way out west, and got it home, and it's a bit of a mess. So, David Ian Sykes, good day. I was down there the other week and we messed around and pulled it, sort of made a bit of a start and put on it down and getting things looking at and a bit tidier. And I brought some of the mechanics home, the spindle and the bearings, etc. And had a bit of a look with a few friends and expert opinions, etc., and getting it all going again as new, and come to some realisations, and sort of wanted to show you what we've actually done. So there's 2 bits of steel shaft left over and a bit in there. We actually figured the old shaft, which was pretty worn, it was about a couple of mil out around in places, and it was pretty ugly and had a rusted on pulley, etc. It was probably the easiest way to deal with it because it was also very heavy. It's all I could do to put it on these 2 trestles last week. The best way is probably to chop it all up into bits and deal with each end and part individually. And we made a drawing before we started, and we cut both ends off close to that pulley, and we're going to set the pulley up and bore it out and put a keyway in it properly. To fit the oversized shaft. These have been cleaned up very considerably, actually. They're a lot better than they were. They were a bit of a mess, these bearing blasters. Going to machine them off nice and even because they've been hit with a file or something at some point. And probably sweat them together. And have set them up and bore them to match the new shaft as well. So we're making a new shaft. It's a little bit oversized all the way through, and the centre of the shaft was about the right size. So that bush there, for example, we took about, that bush there, we took about probably less than 5 thou out of it to clean it up. These will need probably 1 millimetre out of them if we're lucky, every way, all the way through, and at the lowest points anyway. And then we can warm them up and separate them and clean them up and put them back in the bench, hopefully. Put some oil grooves and things in them, get them right. Managed to source some new set screws for that, and for a few other places for the pulleys, etc, etc, etc. And this is the pulley. It has got a crack in it. I hope that doesn't worry us too much. It's not the original pulley, I don't think, but the crack might have been in it since it was new, because that's just probably just a casting crack, I don't know. But if you have a look at his crack through there on one spoke, hopefully that straightens out. I believe that this bench should have had 2 pulleys, a fraction narrower than that each one, as a fast and loose system, but if anyone knows where there is any, let us know. I think that crack will be okay, and it'll get us out of trouble until we find the right ones. This is the new shaft, this is the new spindle. It's quite a bit shorter than the old one, when you believe it. This is 4140, so this should be pretty nice. It's got a step machine on the end of it for this flange, which is the original one. What we were going to do was leave it on the shaft here, like so, this way up, and bore through from the back and put a pulley through it, put a couple of keys in it vertically in the slotter, and then machine the back of it off and have it ready to go. However, this is the original machining marks off the in between the two parts, and that's where it come apart with still this much attached. So I don't know, I think this was either pressed or probably pressed onto the shaft originally. Not going to get that sort of luxury because we haven't got a press that's that way around, but it will get probably an 8 or a 10mm key in each way, each side, and maybe a set screw on one to hold it all in place. Stop it actually falling off every time you take the saw off. So that's where we're at with that. This is the old thread that come off it, right, which is 2-inch 4.5, 55 degrees, which is 2-inch Whitworth left-hand thread. So if anyone's local and they've actually got a insert tool and turning tool to cut that thread in 4140, hit us up, because otherwise someone's got to buy one. But that's the thread that's going to go on the end of here, as such. And then we will probably, what have we got here? More bits. There's the other flange, which is all good. That'll get a bit of a clean up to match the other one. And there's a key in here, a round key that screws in here. I've cleaned that hole out and cleaned the threads up so it screws in and out nice. That's to drive this door. Good morning, Paul. So that's how that's sort of going to work. Now, if you have a look at these bearings and have a look at this, we're going to lose, probably could grind one from high speed steel, cutting a 4.5 TPI thread in 4140, 2-inch diameter. It's a good way to get messed up, and anyway, we'll see. Alistair, g'day. We'll see what happens anyway. If it becomes cost prohibitive, Marcus says, oh, you might just need one anyway, so it might be a good excuse to buy one. If it becomes cost prohibitive, we'll just grind a bit of here, bit of carbide even, and make something up. But very easy to get to the end of the thread and the last thread and chip it and have to go over it again, and bit of a job. So that's where we're going with that. Here's the nut, which we probably use as old forge nut. It's probably not terrible. It'll do for a bit. If we have a look at these, this has got a fairly serious recess in this end and a burr on this side where this one I think has probably been running on something that's got a string or something caught in it. I don't know. This one's a bit weird shaped, but it's got the same groove in it, pretty deep. And they're a bit sharp on each end. So by the time we trim them up, preload or depth or whatever on the shaft is taken up with this bushing or collar. Right, that's what stops it walking backwards and forwards on the other side of this. But there could easily, to get the saw lined up in the slot, there could be a gap here. So we may have to get rid of brass or bronze and make like a thrust shim to go in here between here and the flange. Yet, I don't know. We'll have to go down and set it all up and see how it goes, and then come back, and if we've got to make a 5mm flange or something, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, these are a bit serious, and there's no way you can... Someone's already adjusted these. If we have a look, here, they've been hammered here and bent in so that they actually fit a bit better, and then re-scraped, I would imagine, or something, re-somethinged. And that's not really the be-all and end-all, but there's still plenty of meat in here. And the old shaft was 2 5/8 of an inch. And the new shaft is 70mm, which is about 2 3/4 of an inch. It's clearance on 2 3/4, not much more. Which was the maximum, or the major diameter of the shaft. So everything should clean up to that. And it should be very, very nice. We'll put keys all back in it and get it all going. But these bearings are kind of screwed, so we've got to either do something with them. We've got to clean them up a bit better and sweat them and bore them out and face the ends and get them nice. And everything should work. But there's a bit of work in it, and we're slowly getting there. We'll have to set that up at some point and bore it out. But when the shaft's done, that'll be the next job, because the DSG is going to be needed for that, and the shaft's set up on the steady in that at the moment. So, there we go. That's progress on the Robertson saw bench. If anyone knows anything about Robertson saw benches, I've got a picture I've found with a bit of messing around. We found a picture of one that's actually the same, I think, but it's a different generation or a different model or an earlier model or a less streamlined model or a less the picture looks a little bit more sort of thrown together than the one we've actually got. So they've moved some shafts inboard and things, but gonna need some pulleys. We'll talk about them in a minute. Have a look at them. But this is the project at the moment, is to get these bushes back on that shaft and everything back, and hopefully back down at Dan's by Christmas time. That's where we're at. So pretty excited about that. We'll see how we go. What else is happening? We're hosting, or we're trying to organise a boiler attendant course and a reciprocating steam engine operators course at Shenandoah in New South Wales. If anyone's local or close by or wants to travel, and some people are travelling from Canberra and so forth, and Gold Coast, etc. If you want to travel and you want to do that course at a half reasonable sort of a rate, with a chance of actually getting it finished at some point in the near future, and it might be your last chance, hit me up and I'll give you some information, because there might be a couple of places open. See how we go. Hey Willem, the DCSG will cut 4.5. It's just we haven't got an insert for the tool. Anyway, so that's an open invitation to drop me a line on Facebook if you're watching this, or on Discord or Instagram or wherever you see me, and we'll talk about that if you're serious about getting the Steam ticket. So there we go. I picked these up mostly as sort of a personal vanity project and as presents for some friends and people. But I got these made, and it was a bit of an ordeal actually. Just a embroidered patch, the same as the roller badge. I think that's pretty cool. Be pretty awesome on a beanie, a black beanie or something like that. So I had to get 50 of them. They weren't real cheap, and I'm sort of wondering what I'm going to do with them, whether I list them and sell them with a rate including postage and post them all out to people this week and not have any left. But that's just something that arrived this week, and I've been a month or more, months probably, trying to organise this. My work colleague Fab, who's a graphic designer, did the artwork for me. And I'm going to put a couple on shirts and a beanie or something, maybe, whatever. I don't really wear a beanie, but we'll see what happens with that, and give a few away to people who might want one, and we'll see what happens with the rest of them. Not very good at sending stuff out, so it's not my strong point on any level. Who wants to see the crap that's in the back of the car this time? Who wants to see what's in the van? Hey Raymond. Anyway, I'm stressing out a bit about that course because it's really got to be organised, and we haven't made a lot of progress with anything. So it's a bit of stress this week, and on top of work and all the other crap as well. We're getting there. My finger's over the mic. Anyway, I just said I'm a bit stressed about that course, and it should be done, and it's not. But still trying to get it organised. So it's an ASAP thing. You won't need money straight up, but you will need to enrol if you're interested. Be any better? Can you hear me still? Did I still have my finger over the mic? Is that better? Now, the problem is here that I've just realised that I'm out of Wi-Fi signal. That's a problem, and I can't be bothered bringing the car up. Next week we might have a look what's in the car. Not going to happen. Sorry guys. Did pick up some line shafting and pulleys and stuff. But anyway, yeah. So close and it didn't happen. It's fairly interesting, I think, if you're interested in vintage line shafting and pulleys and so forth. And not everyone's cup of tea, I know. And it'd probably be better to have a live stream down Shenandoah way, so where we can actually see where they all were. I could go and get the van if you like, but at this point I'm not feeling it. Anyway, that's sort of all that's happening. On the subject of teasing, there's a new YouTuber here in Brisbane who's been scraping his meal here. His name's Christian. I can't tell you his channel name. I meant to look it up and watch some videos so I could give him a shout out, and I feel a bit bad that I never. But if he's watching, well, maybe he could give himself a shout out. But a bit slack about that. Didn't happen. But he's actually scraping this in. He's getting it fairly close. He's done the other side, and it's just the final. Russ Knox, g'day. Raymond Martin was at Sovereign Hill last week. That's pretty exciting. Been there many, many, many times. Pretty awesome. Anyway, at this point, that's sort of where we're at, and that's what's happening here. That's about all that is happening. Work's crazy flat out because Christmas is only just around the corner, and it's like madness. So it's non-stop bedlam. Managed to get out on time this week. Last week I didn't, and then I ended up moving. And I apologise to anyone who missed it, but I ended up moving some pot plants from my work colleague, which he bought a marketplace, and it ended up a lot later than I expected. So I just sort of cancelled because I was nowhere near home and had never had any way of doing live stream and had to get things done. So I'm sorry about that. I think it's the only one I've ever cancelled, unless I've been pretty sick. Stuart's put the first of the Evening Star 3.5-inch videos out this week. I haven't seen that, and I will. Absolutely. Is everyone getting video? I'm going to go up this after this and watch Stuart's video. John Creasy's made a couple of pens this week, or automatic pencils. A nice looking job. Now, another thing that I was going to mention. Got a phone call from Bruce Whittam a couple of weeks ago in Western Australia, and another phone call on Sunday morning. Bruce is coming to Queensland and New South Wales. He's got a caravan, and him and his wife are travelling sort of up to fairly well north, I believe, and then coming back. And whether they're going to stop on the way back or whether they're going to stop on the way up for Christmas, I'm not sure, but I'm expecting a visit from Bruce. So if Bruce is here on Wednesday night, we might get him to come in on the live stream, break out the single malt, etc, etc, etc. If you're interested in catching up with Bruce, anywhere between wherever you are, or having him come to visit, or spread some personality about, or remove a broken bolt, or he's pretty good conversation. He's a nice guy. Drop him an email or message him or something and get in touch with him, because he'd be very keen, I think, on the way through. He's got his own accommodation. He's looking for people to catch up with. It'd be interesting workshops to visit. So yeah, it'll be nice to see him, and I'm pretty happy about that. So got a call from him. That's all happening. I don't know when. It's sometime this side of the end of January, I imagine, but I'm not sure when. I'm probably going to go down and run some lettering along the end of the Fowler canopy at some point over Christmas or New Year. I'm not sure when either. That's another unknown. We'll see how we go and see how the weather looks, etc, etc, etc. But I've sort of got in mind, I think, sort of what I want, so we'll do that. I would very much like to have all this heavy crap ready to go back, but I'm not sure how that's going to happen, actually, because there's still a bit of work in these bearings, and I'm only really doing 1 day a week on them. And this last Tuesday, yesterday, we spent cut the shaft up and we machined most of the smaller parts. Like I said, we've bored out those bushes and cleaned them up. We've machined the flanges. We've cleaned up a lot of bits. And we spent the last couple of hours in the afternoon setting that up in the steady there and starting to machine it before we worked out what thread that we can't cut. John McMahon's got 3 phase. That's excellent. Very exciting. Anyway, I think that's still a bit oversized and it's still got to have a couple of keyways in it. And then there's the bearing runs on here, through here, to about there. Flange goes on here, and then the bearing goes in here. And then there's a keyway from about here through to about here somewhere. And then another bearing, and then the other bearing. And then there's another keyway in the end for the rest of for that pulley at this stage. I believe the fast and loose pulleys would have gone in the centre between the bearings, but we're still looking for them. So it's a bit of a mission to find all the bits. There's a couple of 3-sheave step pulleys, I'm guessing about, black and white measurements, probably 10 inches diameter, 12 inches diameter on the big side, with about a 1.5 inch diameter bush. Kind of need a couple of them at some point, if anyone knows where they are. And then there's another flat pulley, about, not a very big one, about 6-inch diameter. I think I might actually even have that one. To go on the main shaft with a 70mm centre, and that drives to a spoke pulley on a shaft, and I think it may have even been gear drive. I'm not sure about that. It might not actually happen. So that's the Robertson saw bench progress. It'd be very exciting to have it even just working as a plain bench without any power feed or anything for a bit. Be very nice to have it up and running. I've got a bit more of an idea, I think, in my head anyway. I don't know about anyone else's head. It's how the fence arrangement and the power feed works, but I'm still sort of getting my head around that. Yeah, Marcus says pride and joy is a big DSG. Very nice machine. It's learning its keep pretty well here, and it's all hardened, induction hardened ways and things, so it's not much worn. He's just done the saddle up in the last 2 months. He's added a part and scraped all the saddle and everything, and it's all nice, and done the half nuts and adjusted them all in, and feeds and things. So next thing I think on it is electrical. It still needs a little bit of work there. But yeah, that's a Dean Smith and Grace. There's a Hafco there. And this would make boring the bushes a whole lot easier if it was going. But anyway, we're going to have to live without a Kearns HBM for a little while and do it some other way. Anyway, that's what's happening. I believe Marcus has a shaper for sale. I don't think you'll mind me saying that. It's a fairly high dollar item, this one. It's a very, very nice shaper. Anyone who's watched live stream has probably seen it in action. It's sweet. It's Mickey Mouse, actually. Very, very clean. It's been re-scraped in places, I think. The table's been refinished. and it all works 3-phase, and I think it's about 18 inches, something like that. Got the front support on it. It's got a crank for adjusting the stroke, so there's none of this bullocking around under and bolts and trying to push things backwards and forwards to line up. You just try and crank the handle to get it the right measurement. And all the clutches and levers and things are on that side. And the Whitworth mechanism's under that cover. So anyone's interested, hit up Marcus Christensen. It is pretty heavy, I think. It's on a pallet. And anyone who's keen. And Russ Knox has had 3-phase since always. Lucky you. It's a very clean machine. It's Swedish, I think. It belongs actually to Alex Chipperfield, not Marcus, but it's sort of been communal here. Hit up Marcus and he'll point you in the right direction. But I think it's for sale. Funds needed for further improvements. And I think Marcus does most of his slotting on a Toolmaster. It's got a slotting head on this. And it's gone a bit more modern and high-tech. Keyways and things and splines and things are all insert tooling. And yeah, so poor machine scraped within an inch of its life, but another beautifully rebuilt Cincinnati Toolmaster. So, Adam, I think Nerds for Electricals, yes, is very much so, but if you know anyone, I think this is going to be upgraded because old fuses and things can't be got and switches and things. I think it's probably going to end up to be modernised a little bit in the back. Don't know what's happening with it. It's about where it falls down. So, that's what's happening here. That's what I did yesterday. Sunday, I went and stirred some people up about doing a steam engine course with probably very, very, very little effect. And what else did I do on Sunday? I went up to the other side of Brisbane and picked up all this line shafting that a friend went and bought. So some smaller shafting, most of it's in shaft. Make a nice little workshop shaft. Sort of a annex running off the main line shaft for some workshop machinery at Shannondale, I think. So there we go. Same deal though, anyone interested in doing the steam engine course or catching up with some steam engines or coming to see us or messing around, absolutely hit us up and get some directions because we'd like to see you if you're down Grafton way. Ken's Small Engine Repair, welcome, g'day. Hasn't been much of a channel lately because I haven't really had a workshop, but this is what we're messing around with at the moment. These are cast, of course, and the top ones have got 2 holes for oil in from the top, and the bottom one's got 1 hole in from the bottom, and it's got that locating bit on there to stop it turning. On the bottom ones, I think that's been removed because you don't need both of them, but a bit of work in them. Anyway, so that's what's going. I don't have a clue how long we've been going for. I'm not sure if there's much else to really share. If someone wants to come and manhandle some of these bits on the Gold Coast, you're very welcome. Hey, Mark. But that's what's happening at the moment, and I'm working 10-ish hours a day, trying to get through Christmas rush, etc., etc., etc. And I'm not real committed to any of this, but we're getting there. Anyway, what else is happening? Anyone got any questions? Who's put videos up? Believe there's one from Rustnox. I haven't seen anyone's videos much. I see one from John Creasy? No. Stephen Lang, I saw one from Stephen Lang. I'm making keyways for another viewer's machine restoration. So that's a good video. And there was a promise of more to come as well. Mark put a tinkering video up yesterday. I'm going to have to go and check that out. Yeah, it's stinking hot here. Like, you've got no idea. It's humid and it's miserable. Christian spent all yesterday scraping that little mill table. Creasy got demonetized. Oh dear. Rustnox posts every Friday. Ken's fixing snow blowers. Wonder what they are. Take care, Ian. Good to see you. So anyway, that's what's happening here. Probably not a lot more to add. Probably should have made the effort to bring the car up a bit closer. I might do that next week before we start, because I imagine all that stuff's still going to be in the back by then. I'm not doing much except commuting backwards and forwards to work. There is a market, car boot sale down here on Sunday morning. I might run down there to that early, but we'll see how we go. Don't need any more junk. Yeah, we're still here, Mark. Anyway, this is where the work goes on anyway, nothing else. So it's all good. We've got a tactical sort of a agreement not to mention living arrangements, so you didn't hear anything about that here, and we're not sort of discussing it at this point. Pan up, sorry. So here's 3 Cincinnati Toolmasters, and there's Shaper in the front that's for sale. I believe that 1970s Toolmaster might be for sale. Take care, Ken. Good to see you. Drop in again. Just from what I hear, that middle one is not Marcus's, and it's a pretty tidy mill, like a really good one. And I believe that someone might be willing to sell that. If someone wants a nice 3-phase mill. It's not all that old, and it's a pretty good machine. This one over here on this end's been pretty well fully restored. It needs a new gib in the lift table. And I believe Marcus's plan was to do this one up, this one here, do him up and finish it doing it up, because it's a working mill, but you've got to mess around and tension the gibs every time you move the table up and down. So put new gibs in it and sell this one, buy this one and do it up, and have that as the main mill here. This one sort of lives as a slotter now. So anyway, that's what's happening. So we've been 3/4 of an hour. I think I might call it a night. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Sorry that there's not much content lately. Fairly. That's actually Cincinnati Toolmaster. All those three are Cincinnati Toolmasters, which are also very, very good machines. Really nice bit of gear, actually. And those three are pretty awesome. Anyway, I'm going to call it. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. There'll be more next week and some actual progress on this. We should have a thread on the. I'd like to have a thread on the spindle. The spindle finished and the flanges back on, and a bit of a look at some bearings. So be kind to each other. Gee, it's hot in this workshop. I'm going to get outside again and go. So thanks, and keep us all posted on YouTube if you're posting videos, and don't be afraid to send me a link somewhere and I'll have a look and we'll give you a shout out. Thanks, and I'm out.